everybody, and welcome back to Coffin Talk, Interviews with the Living, a weekly podcast that explores how our views on death affect the way we live our life. And this week we have Allison Lane on the show. I actually know Allison because I was lucky enough to be a guest on her podcast, where she helps experts get book deals and successfully publish and launch their best-selling books. She interviews authors, academics, and medical practitioners, industry leaders, and memorists, boosting their visibility, attracting media, and growing their influence. And of course, you'll be able to find her podcast in the notes, and I will be asking her about it in the show. So with no further delays, Allison, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm so jazzed to be here. I'm so inspired by our conversation before, just about people grabbing on to what has been probably on the back burner when they realize truly life is finite.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, life is finite.
Exactly. And that's
And
why, oh, sorry, please go ahead.
well, I just find that usually there's some moment of realization, and it happens at any age. But that's usually when people find me and they say, I've always wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to write a novel. I feel like people should know what I know or have access to this knowledge. And it's only wisdom when you pass it on, folks.
That's cool. And
Otherwise it's just knowledge in your noggin.
yeah, and that actually gels with a lot of what I've been reading recently. It's just about like where we're headed with technology, society, and work. Because, with AI coming in, there's like this big like, why should I write a paper when AI can do it for me? And there's a lot of answers to that and a lot of conversations we can have. But I think what you said is really at the crux of a lot of this, which is why are you here? And when you realize, oh, I'm not young anymore, which can happen when you're young, ironically. Like there's not an actual like
Mhm.
date where it happens. So yeah. So let's get into that after I just do my quick triple question that I ask every single guest just so that people
Hit
can
me.
frame themselves around the interview. So I ask you how old are you? Where did you grow up? And what generation, if any, do you consider yourself a member of?
I'm sorry. Is it how old am I?
Yeah,
Or
how old are
what's
you
the
and where did you grow
Okay,
up?
I am 54. I am from Annapolis, Maryland, and I grew up at the end of a dirt road in like out in the outskirts. We had zero money. And I'm sorry. Is the triple question? I'm
Yeah, are you a
totally
member of a generation? Do you consider yourself a member of any generation?
I think that the names of generations only came into vogue since after my generation was passed. So um, I think am Generation X, but I don't think Generation Xers identify as such
Yeah.
at all.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
This is interview 234 of the podcast, and I've literally asked all of the guests this, and it's very interesting to hear. Your answer is not uncommon or common. It's kind of like one of a few that comes up a lot. But I think overall, I am getting over and over again from people. I'm tired of this question from you, Mike, but this is a weird thing. Why do we do this? And that's kind of why I started it, was because I think when I'm going to have a show where I talk about life and death and metaphysics, I think it's important to look at like how weirdly time oriented we are here in this time space paradigm that we exist in. And so the generation thing to me is like uh whoever's doing it is attempting to divide. And I'm not going to attach the word conquer to that. I'm not attaching a ulterior motive to it so much as I think it puzzles people like you and myself because it seems like weird because you're just Allison Lane. You grew up on a a dirt road in
Right.
Annapolis,
It's not
Maryland.
like all the Gen Xers get together
Yeah, yeah.
on Wednesdays for pickleball. I mean, that would be great, but yeah, that's not happening around here.
So let's jump into one of the talking points I brought up that you had issued with your comment on wisdom, which I loved, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is since you're getting people who are interested in their visibility, how do you feel about social media, artificial intelligence, and visibility? Like those three concepts kind of together. You can leave artificial intelligence out if it doesn't have a place, but visibility and social media are to me are both working together and incredibly not working together.
Okay. Well, so AI we have to talk about it because it's embedded in life now, whether you think I'm going to go write something and use ChatGPT to do it, or use ChatGPT to do some research, it's happening anyway. When you Google something, that's AI working for you. When you're on Spotify and it says, you liked these songs, you probably will like this too. That's AI, friends. When Netflix sees that you watched Bridgerton, it shows you if you like this, if you love sweeping romances, you'll love these other things. Or if you love historical, British sagas, you'll love this. And you're like, isn't that the same thing? Yes, they come at you in all the ways because they want to see what you react to. So it's happening anyway. Let's just accept it. It's it's here. In terms of visibility and social, social is one slice of the marketing pie.
Hmm.
And you're picturing a pie, just like publicity is a slice, and events are a slice, and speaking is a slice. There are many slices of marketing. So social, yes, you social can work to your benefit if you know what you're doing. If you keep your Facebook account private, then it's like never leaving your house and hoping people will come over. Like, no one's going to knock on your door and be like, "Hey, can we be friends? I hear for the grapevine that you awesome." Like, no, no one's doing that. So you do have to realize that your profile would be public. If you're on LinkedIn, where I like to hang out, you're using the elements of the social platform that the social platform is feeding and offering to people who aren't already connected to you. In LinkedIn, that would be a newsletter, short videos, events, commenting on the trending news of the day. LinkedIn wants to grow, but LinkedIn is a search engine, just like TikTok is a search engine. And so I think that there are more uh, tools baked in so that because LinkedIn knows what it is.
Hmm.
It's like we want you to grow because and we're serving people, but we're also serving you. So we want to serve the content to people based on what they search for. And even if they don't know to search for Allison Lane, when someone says book coach, my name should come up. If it doesn't, it's my job to edit my profile so that book coach is baked in there because
Hmm.
LinkedIn is scrubbing the profiles to see like what, who's in the LinkedIn house. Let me see who I can introduce you to. And visibility starts with using the tools that are at your disposal, and these are free.
Yeah, that's
Start
uh
start at LinkedIn, start on Instagram, or whatever your platform is. Use it, but learn how to use it.
mhm. Yeah, because that's kind of I think there's a cynical side of me that doesn't like social media for marketing. So it's not that I don't like social media, it's the idea that marketing entered into what was supposed to be like friends getting together and showing photos, but huge but, like biggest but ever. I'm also from the era where I couldn't afford to put an ad on television, so marketing was impossible. So I love that marketing has become something that the average person can actually enter into and do. With that said, you talked a lot about LinkedIn, and then at the end you mentioned Instagram and Facebook. I have noticed as an author, as someone who's tried to self market and market with others, that LinkedIn feels much more fair. They allow you to post external links. They don't seem to suppress or like just shadow ban like things, and that excites me and makes me like happy. The other three, the big three, I really can only talk about X maybe a little bit before Elon Musk bought it. So I'm gonna kind of leave that one out because it has like two almost tails to it. But with Instagram and Facebook, I have noticed like if I play around with what I post, I mean it's incredibly different the responses I'll get and who gets the net. And then I've also experimented with paying for advertisements on them, and I actually had worse results. Like it was actually almost embarrassing that I paid them money to advertise, and then it wasn't even like remotely helpful. I literally didn't get a single link back to the site that I was advertising. So, with all that said, um, what do you see going on right now in we're recording on June 18th, 2025. This will come out in about 2 weeks. Um, where do you see yourself, and where do you see your clients, and where do you see the world with like the fatigue of social media versus this is still viable? And what I'm speaking directly to is a lot of people feel overwhelmed with too many things to look at online now. Like I have 7 friends who released a book. How am I supposed to heart all of them, like all of them, buy all of them, that kind of stuff. So do you, I mean, if you have no answer, that's fine. I threw a lot at you.
I no, of course I have an answer.
I knew, but I'm just trying to be polite.
So I think what you're asking is in terms of social, a lot of things work against us.
Hmm.
The algorithms are changing all the time, and we don't understand them. And we have to look at engagement, or we have to look to see, are we posting things that people are sharing or responding back to? If all you see are crickets, you're posting the wrong thing, or maybe you're even on the wrong platform. The biggest mistake I see people make is that they think their social growth is going to happen organically.
Mm.
And because they say, well, my people aren't sharing it. Like, well, you're only right now connected with your friends and family. But when you are a speaker or an author, you have to go where your audience is. And maybe that's not Facebook. Maybe it's a Discord group or a Reddit thread or an association membership. You have to go where your people are. And that's the biggest misstep that people make. And they really are asking the wrong questions. How do I grow my Instagram? Like, I don't think any of the people who are interested in your medical method are on Instagram looking for that. They might be sharing like personal photos, but Instagram is not where people go to look for that. So you have to start with, who are you serving and where are they?
I love that. Yeah, that was so compelling and interesting to me because it goes back to, it doesn't matter if it's the television era, the radio era, the social media era, whatever the next one is going to be. Finding people who are interested in what you do is always going to be part of the paradigm of an outcome oriented endeavor with anything. And I think that part of maturing is realizing that. Like there the young guitar playing Mike who was like 19 and joined a band thought that like DIY and like was going to work, and then at some point we're like, oh no, we need press kits. We need to like approach professionally the owners of venues. They are not young children who are interested in hearing music. They run a bar. They like, how many people can you bring? Like it's so funny to hear people complain about what was actually harder when I was younger with all these things. With that, all that said, I want to come back to this later in the interview if we have time, but I would be remiss not getting into the metaphysical side of things. So, as you know, we only ask one other planned question, which is, what do you think happens when you die? So I just want to ask you it directly. What do you think happens when you die? And then I'm going to kind of walk that into like your career and how you help others. But what I'm really interested in, the theme that you're going to notice I'm going to keep coming back to, is you want to help people with something that to me and you, as you said at the beginning, is very metaphysical, actually, which is leaving your mark, getting it out there. So before we get into all that, what do you, Allison Lane, think is going to happen to you when you die?
Hey everyone, if you're a fan of the show, please head over to mikeyop.com and click the subscribe button. It's the best way to support us, and it's free. That's MIKEYOPP.com. Thanks.
I think we all go back into the same pool. And then there will be a lot of forehead slapping. Like, ah, I get it. I understand. I wish I had done this differently, or I'm so glad I did that the way that it happened. I don't want to be person who regrets anything. And that led me to my professional temper tantrum that I had 2 weeks before COVID, where I got a new boss who didn't learn anybody's last names and then diminished everyone's capabilities. And I thought, nope, I'm out. And I quit with no business plan.
Wow.
So don't do that. Uh, but I had already started helping people figure out why their pitch for their book was being rejected by agents. And, they would share the pitch letter with me, and I'd be like, oof, that's why. Yikes. They don't want to know your playlist that you listened to while you were writing your book or why you were so inspired. That is not a pitch. That is your personal story, and you can share that, but not with an agent or a publisher because that they are business people. This is how they make their money, and how they feed themselves. So your motivation is not a marketing justification. And as soon as I started editing these, people were just getting agents and publishers, like they were getting deals. And I was like, aha. Because, when you have knowledge, as I do running PR for Unilever and Burt's Bees and The Body Shop and a ton of others, you think that everybody knows what you know.
Mhm.
But in this situation, I had started a Facebook community that was free, but was for people who wanted to get published. And at first it was just people sharing. But by week 4, everyone was having the same problems. By week 6, I was doing weekly workshops. This is what a pitch looks like. This is how to research your comps. And they would be like, mind blown. Like, well, your mind might be blown, but it's only because you're not an expert in this. It's not that you couldn't get it, it's that you shouldn't have to get it. And also, it's difficult to figure out. So it's just been such a feeling of being locked in to
Yeah.
know that what I'm doing is uniquely possible because of me and my expertise, and also because the books that my clients, my audience want very passionately to write or to make bestsellers, they actually do. And these are books that no one thought could be published. And then, I've got agents, literary agents coming back to me going, I asked the author to introduce us because I was able to say yes to the author and then send the proposal out the next week, which never happens. And I said, yeah, I know. I mean, you publishing is a business. Even when you're self-publishing, that's a misnomer because you're never self-publishing because you put your book on retailer sites.
Mhm.
You need a business plan and a marketing plan, and you need to know where your audience is. All of those elements go into a book proposal.
Oh, so actually, this you segued perfectly into my next question, which is I got an MFA. I graduated in 2011, and so when I was graduating, all the professors said self-publishing doesn't count, don't ever do it. So of course, I immediately self-published. I was like, I don't like this.
Right. Don't tell me what to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also sought legacy publishing, and I was rewarded. And then so I've done both processes, and then I've also researched and read a lot about hybrid publishing, which is becoming
Mm.
in vogue. So I'm curious, uh, as quickly as you can, just because of time for the show, where do you, if you meet an author today, and they say, "What should I do? Self-publish, hybrid, or legacy?" What do you tell them?
I tell them that depending on how much time they want to put forth and how much control they want to have, that all of those avenues are possible and success is on each of those roads. Every publisher has a different business model,
Mm.
even hybrids. And a hybrid is a publisher where they don't give you an advance. They may or may not require an agent. They will absolutely require a book proposal or elements of a book proposal. So you probably need one no matter what. And they take the operational stuff off your plate.
Mhm.
So you don't have to find someone to format your book, or um, you know, you don't have to draw your cover. They've probably got a woman who does that. And it's more of a partnership. The thing is, traditional publishing, the timelines are like 2 years, two and a
Yeah.
half years.
That's
So oftentimes for my clients, I'm like, ooh, there are some really fast moving hybrids that are pumping out bestsellers. Let me introduce you to some of those.
that's cool.
And because sometimes just time is of the essence.
Hmm.
And who wants to wait 2 years?
Can you also throw in, I forgot to ask, within the self-publishing world, how do you feel about the serialized or even just all at once novel on Substack, which is, I think, the New York Times just recently reported on?
I think that um, no matter how you're publishing, the person you're serving gets a big vote. So the serialized novel on Substack, if you are serving an audience that comes back,
Hmm.
then that works. Self-publishing works. But you can't just put it out there and be like, ta-da, the world will find it. Like, people have to be looking for that. And it's your job to market yourself and your book. You are in charge of your marketing. You are your own marketing director. And whatever path you choose, the book you know you're meant to write has an audience
Hmm.
that is eager to find it. They are always together and they are always banging a drum, hoping that will hear their call.
Hmm.
And because they need something, or uh, they're sad about something, or they're lamenting, or they want more money, or they want to manage their money, or they want happiness. I mean, they're always together. So the first step is put down on paper the book you think that you're meant to write. Just scribble it down on a 3x5 card. Easy sneezy. And then if you're writing nonfiction, do not write your whole book first.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Please, for the love of Pete. No one wants your whole book first.
Yeah.
They want the book proposal. So instead of 300 pages, you get to write 25 or 30.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier when you have that outline and that roadmap, because the proposal is a business plan, and it
Hmm.
keeps you, it's a business plan for your book, but also leading to your audience. It positions you. And this is even true for fiction. Get a sense. If you think, I want to write sci-fi, like, are you really writing fantasy with a splash of romance, which we now
Uh-huh.
call romancy, which is not a word, but still. Uh, so, start with these couple steps, and you'll enjoy the process so much more. It's not you against the world. It's you understanding that there's already knowledge there. So you can, follow you and read your books and look at your Substack and follow me and listen to my podcast, The Author's Edge, where I'm literally laying it out. Like,
Yeah.
this is how we roll. This is why it works.
And I like your podcast too. I don't listen to it religiously, but I've listened to enough to know that, like, what you're doing here is what you do in general, which is you actually want to help people. And you remind me of all my favorite professors and teachers and friends. So
Mhm.
like just all three of those archetypes in
Oh
that
my
you
goodness.
you don't really like fluff or like waste time like patting and complimenting. And so I love to ask people like you and in any industry. I've asked psychologists, I've asked any when you're in a client relationship where the client seeks you and is paying you, do you ever have to fire the client? And if so, can you do you have any memorable experiences with that?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah, for sure. There are there are people who think they want to write a book, but what they really want is for the book to appear magically. And they know that they have a message, but what they really need is a ghostwriter. Like I am not that person.
Hmm.
And so I introduce them to ghostwriters or people who can help them, like a writing coach, like get the book out of you. What is it that you're doing? The other people that have a hard time working with me are people who are not ready to take action.
Mm.
And maybe they're healing or they're afraid to write the book that they know they're meant to write because it might hurt somebody's feelings or they have imposter syndrome. If any of those self-propelled boundaries are in place, I'm not your gal. I People who come to me are like, let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
And if that's not you, great. And then I point them to other people, if
Hmm.
you need to maybe be in a peer writing situation and get used to the fact that you're going to be writing a book, that's a step.
Hmm.
It's a step for people. But those people aren't ready to hit the ground running,
Yeah.
which is what I'm all about.
Totally. And I think this question is a little bit metaphysical and a lot about like the paradigm shift we're experiencing with social media and television and movies and everything. It is not it's not my question is not are less people reading them before because we know that that term reading would apply to reading memes even. So it's a silly way to phrase it, but what I am wondering is you are a parent, you have children, so you're not just like locked in adult world with no access to what youth is interested in. Do you think there's a real future of like books and reading, or do you think the future is going to be something a little different? Because I don't know. I'm actually like sitting here at 44 as an author with five published books and two in the can, and I'm like, I'm just kind of running out of oomph with the idea of a big readership. I'm not running out of ideas of what to write, and I'm not running out of joy of I read more than I used to. So I'm not really asking about my generation, but I am curious about younger people, what your sense is.
Well, I mean, it's like saying, our movie is going to fall out of style because now they're short video.
Hmm.
But there's just more. I mean, remember when CNN got born and everyone thought 24-hour news, how they're going to fill that?
Yeah,
I
yeah, I do.
mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, who even wants to watch the news at 2 a.m.? Everybody goes to sleep at 11. And it's just not true.
Hmm.
People are busy. Even in traditional books, chapters are now shorter, or they have sections that allow you to pause because the time that you have to read is shorter. We don't sit down for an afternoon anymore,
Hmm.
but we might get 15 minutes when we're sitting in carpool, speaking for myself. And you always want to feel like as a reader, like I've reached a stopping point,
Hmm. Hmm.
which you cannot do if the chapter is 30 pages long, friends. So we have to adapt. And books, no, they're not going away, but books take different forms and then we still grow. Graphic novels used to be just called comic books,
Yeah, yeah, that's a good example.
and it's different now.
So you seem like really good at adapting, actually. That's what I've one of the main things I've learned through this interview with you. Because before, when you interviewed me, I got an idea of your character and your integrity, but I didn't get an idea of like who you are. And what I'm really gathering here is that you're actually really good at adapting. Like even if you just grew up in like poverty and then you made your way to where you are now, like even that shows extreme adaptability. So I'm curious, do you have any advice for people on what it is inside you that helps you adapt and click like that? Because there's a lot of people, and I'm not just being an ageist in our demographic, who don't adapt well, and they're not adapting, and they're losing their minds with everything that you have adapted quite well to. So is it a personal quality, or is it an outlook, or is it both?
I don't know. You paused for a
Oh, I'm
minute. You
sorry.
said,
Is
is
your
it a
adaptability a positive outlook? Is it a mindset? Is it like hereditary, or is it a combination? Like how do you explain to other people? And again, like not necessarily our age, but like people who are young people don't have a problem adapting. They are adapting.
hmm
So, yeah,
Yeah.
what is it that has helped you your whole life?
Well, childhood full of trauma certainly helps because life continues and you just have to,
Hmm.
you know. Wh- Uh, and people say trauma and they don't, that everybody has trauma of different sizes, but I've had sizable ones. And I speak publicly about this now because so many people who come to me whisper that, they need to warn me, like, my story is about this thing, and their voice gets really loud. And like, no, no, no. If you're gonna write it, you can't whisper to me and you can't shock me. Everything has happened to me. So aside from the usual of like alcoholism in the family and such, but my father killed his girlfriend when I was 11. And then we were told that's a family secret. You can't tell anybody. So that makes someone a really good observer because you never feel like you can be yourself. And and you always feel like you're an imposter. And then sexual traumas, which makes you not feel safe. So also always an observer. And then in high school, my boyfriend died in a car accident and drunk driving, and that makes you feel alone. And so you have to make your own way. And as somebody who went to a state school, go Terps, University of Maryland, who ended up leading PR for Unilever, surrounded by Harvard MBAs, you adapt. And I was, quite a superstar, toot my own horn, but
No, it's fun.
my boss was like, people love you. I'm like, well, there's always a solution. We need to, this product isn't testing well. So now we need to put forward this product. How are we going to do that? And it needs to launch in 5 months. Like, well, there's always a way. There's always a way. And I think my upbringing and also my professional development is not only is there always a way, but when there's a time constraint, you have to get there.
Hmm.
So most people, when they want to write a book, they're thinking like, I've always wanted to, but it's never like, great, let's get cooking.
Hmm.
Or they think, well, the book I wanted to write is this one, and it came out 3 years ago. Like, well, that's not your book. They think it's already been written. Like, nope, that's not how it works. There are different angles for every book, every story, every memoir. We just find the way. And that is maybe just a superpower of mine that has developed.
That's really cool. That was a great answer, and I'm a great interview. I'm really happy to know you, and I'm happy that you're out there because I think we're living in a time where not a lot of people have earned confidence, and that is what I would call you. It's not like, when you bring up Unilever, I'm mispronouncing it, but like that is remarkable, and that is something worth talking about. And it's like a lot of people put fake feathers in their hat right now, and it's silly. It's a silly peacocking dance to like prove something to yourself. So,
Right. The optimism bias that I have of is actually just confidence and belief through experience. I know everything can be achieved. So the thing that you think is like a pipe dream, I'm thinking immediately, well, there are 5 ways we can go about this, and you just need to choose one. There's not one way. So if you're not familiar with optimism bias, it's, you know, you have a 1 in a million chance of winning a lottery ticket, like amazing. And people think, well, it could happen to me. Awesome. Has it? No, but I continue to buy those lottery tickets because you never know. Could be me. But there's always a way. I mean, you just have to be around people for whom it's not a wish and a prayer. It's a fervent belief through experience. And that's what I am here to tell you.
Allison, thank you so much. That's the best way to end the interview. I cannot possibly ask another question. That was so helpful. You are so helpful. There will be notes for how to find Allison both on LinkedIn and also her podcast, The Author's Edge. So please support her if you're driven to that. And as always, thank you for coming on our show. And thank you to those of you watching or listening. My name is Mike Oppenheim. You have been watching or listening to Coffin Talk, and we will see you soon.